certified master coach, just like Katie is, and I am now full-time coaching. I had an amazing 9 to 5 job that I just recently left, Katie. I don't know if I even shared that with you. I know you know that, you know, it was in the works for me, but yeah, so now I am a course creator. I've created a digital course for women. I just taught it live for the first time, and it's called In Toxic Dating for Good. So yeah, so and I'm
Amazing.
doing a fasting call next week. It's just, yeah, it's been so fun. It's
Oh my
really,
gosh. I mean, first of all, congratulations on, yeah, like now getting into this full time, because I know that people really, really need to hear from you, to learn from you, to get coached by you. And recently, really exciting, you also got to be on the NBC affiliate in Dallas.
it was
Talk, right?
crazy.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for saying that. I remember saying to my girlfriends, and I go into all the details of it on my Manifesting 101 call, but I remember talking to a group of girlfriends on, I think it was Wednesday, and I said, watch something amazing happen on my last day. Like on my
Hmm.
last day of work, watch something crazy happen. Because I just had this feeling, and I get these little intuitive nudges. I didn't know what, I had no
Hmm.
idea. And then out of nowhere, I get a request like on Instagram. A beautiful woman reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I've been seeing your stuff all over, and I wonder if you'd like to come on our show and be interviewed to talk about how to get out of toxic relationships." And I was
Wow.
just, what?
Wow.
And so
That's amazing.
I mean, what an amazing opportunity. It still doesn't really feel real to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was incredible. I'm so honored to have been able to do that. So
Yeah. Oh, so exciting. I know. I didn't see any clips. Are they going to be able to share clips of that? Because I'd love to see your appearance.
like
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. Even though I'm, you know, gosh, we are our own worst critic, right? I'm already like, oh my god, I feel like I was stumped at this one thing, and then because there's no preparation, it's like, hi, you're here, great. We're gonna ask you these questions. You ready? Let's go. So it's
Mm,
just like, woo! All right, here we go. But
yeah.
they're gonna let me know when it airs, when it goes live. Thank God
Okay.
it wasn't live. Thank God it wasn't live.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm getting better. I'm getting better at like the whole live thing, but it was nice for my nervous system to be like, you know, yeah, like I'm like even
Yeah.
excited, like even a little bit. So it should come out, I guess, sometime soon. I'll let everybody know as soon as it does.
Awesome. So let's talk about first toxic relationships. Like, can you first define for everyone what is a toxic relationship?
Sure. So I like my definition is a toxic relationship is a roller coaster ride that you don't know how to get off of. It
Mm,
is constant highs followed by constant lows. So it's almost like consistently inconsistent, if that makes sense. Another definition that I really like was that I've read before. I'm not sure who said it, but it's repeated, mutually destructive behavior and ways of relating between two people. So,
mm,
one of the things that I shared on the interview, too, at least I think I did, I think I blacked out from some of it. One of the things that I shared was for most of my life in relationships, and not all my relationships have been toxic by any means, but the ones that
mhm,
have been, it was so easy for me to point the finger and be like, if he would just get his stuff together, we would be great. Like, this
mm,
would be fine. Like, because I'm good, you know? Like, I don't have any big T trauma and I don't have, you know, all these issues you have. I mean, horrible, right? Like, putting myself on this like pedestal that I quickly had to take myself off of because it takes two of us. It
mhm,
takes two of us to be in that dynamic. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we're both doing the same toxic things, but I'll just take ownership. Like for my part, what I did, my toxic trait, if you will, was omission, shutting down, not speaking my truth, hiding things for fear of the reaction I was going to get, and
mm,
scared, and yeah, and so and not sharing what was really going on for me, and so it would bubble up, bubble up, bubble up until it exploded, and then I'm acting out of character and and the whole cycle just gets worse and worse. So
And when we're talking toxic relationships, we're not really talking about abuse, right?
oh, there's all levels of toxic relationships.
Okay.
It's almost like their toxic relationships can be really like overt and covert, in my opinion. Like it's so, you know, and I would find myself saying these things, and a lot of women will say like, well, he's never hit me. Like, my God, he's physically abusive, right? But he's controlling and he manipulates me and he loses his temper and maybe he swears at me or yells at me or he stonewalls me where he like shuts down and won't talk to me for days. Like all of that is toxic and it's other forms of abuse, right? So I think there's a scale of that. But yes, but as far as my experience, it was the more subtle, sneaky ways of toxic that was so draining, where all of my energy and time and thoughts, it was all consumed with this relationship. All the time, focus, attention would be, how do I keep this thing intact? Because it was like survival mode.
And so do you believe that like a healthy relationship is something where you don't have to spend so much mental energy kind of keeping it all together?
1000%. I believe a healthy relationship, it's like the baseline is good. It's solid. It's steady. Yes, you're going to have highs and yes, you're going to have lows. There's going to be peaks and valleys, but it's not like the roller coaster of like super, super high peak and then like the valley of death, right? Where it's just miserable and yes, and all your time and energy and focus and attention is all being like, how do I keep this? How do I keep this thing alive? How do I make it better again? How do I make it better again? It's like a constant chasing of the high.
Yeah. And how does somebody recognize it? Because if it's a pattern, if it happens over and over again, sometimes we don't even realize that we're in it, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the signs where you can say, yes, you are in a toxic relationship?
Yeah. So I think, so in really like simplified ways, the first couple things that come to mind for me is kind of like the relationship scorecard, where you're constantly like keeping score of what the other one does or doesn't do. And I know we all do a little bit of that. Like we do sometimes. Like, well, you didn't, I don't know. I can't even think of an example right now, but it's like kind of a bit to an extreme. Also like holding the relationship hostage, like lots of ultimatums, if you will, like if you don't do this, then we're done, that sort of thing, threatening to leave or threatening to end the relationship. Because I was met with a lot of that, right? And I mean, as you know, as simple as it sounds, it's like extremely poor communication. Where like no matter what you say, no matter how nice you say it, no matter how, you know, the timely it is or anything, it's like you are met with like a lot of shame, a lot of blame. So those could be some core signs. The other big sign is like you're having to hide aspects of your relationship from your friends and family. I'm not saying that you get to air out everything to everyone around you, but when you are, you know, again, like hiding things about the relationship, or like you break up and get back together and break up and get back together. It's the constant on and off cycle. And you go to your family or your friends and you just unleash all the pain and the hurt and the suffering. And then you get back with them and there's so much shame around that. So you hide it. It's like something's there, right?
Yeah. And what about also just talking about it constantly, right? Like you almost get sick of it, telling your friends about all of the terrible things that are going on in your relationship.
Up all your energy. It takes up all the energetic space in your body. It is your world. That's an, and I tread lightly on this, but it is, from what I understand about addiction, this is like an addiction, right? It takes over your world. It's like the center point of your life. And in my course, I go into like why that is. And I give women an exercise of how they can see it literally like on a piece of paper as to why we pick the people that we do. And it's also releasing a lot of the shame around it, because I hear this from women all the time. And I know I said this so much where I was like, I am a smart woman, and I do love myself. I do know I'm worthy. Why am I doing this? Why does it feel so hard to walk away? Why does it feel like life or death? And there's reasons for it. So if I could say anything, hey girl, sorry, stuff there. Some of the reasons why we do the things we do, it's not, as you know, it's not all conscious. It's subconscious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and
Right.
that was something I was going to talk about, is that like, and sometimes it just comes from the way we grew up, right? Because like when you were talking about the example of somebody who's always threatening to leave the relationship, right? Like for a long time before I ever met my husband, that was actually me, because that was how my mom dealt with things, right? My mom would constantly threaten to leave the relationship every single time things were not going well. And so it just kind of seeps in unconsciously. And I've been guilty of that, you know, like the first sign of trouble, I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm
Right.
out of here. Right.
Because it's what you were conditioned to. It's what you witnessed. It's what was modeled to you. It was your paradigm. So it's like, of course.
Yeah.
And it's so important for us to get to forgiveness around that, right? But also be aware of what are our patterns, what are our limiting beliefs, what are our self-sabotaging behaviors, so that we don't bring it into every other relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us, like, what is the process of, like, what do you do during your workshop to actually help women to break this pattern, to kind of bring it to the conscious, figure out how to shift this habit that's kind of been, you know, your MO for most of your life?
Yes, such a good question. So, I'll just say this too. When the idea for this course came in for me, I was actually with my family. It was New Year's, but we weren't able to be together for Christmas, so we were celebrating Christmas over New Year's. So it was very like Christmassy feeling, but it was at the first of the year, and we were having a conversation. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was thinking to myself, I was like, "Whoa, hold on. I have finally like really busted through this pattern. Like this pattern is dead to me now." And I know never say never, but I'm like, I will never, ever be in a toxic relationship again, because I'm so clear on what it was about and what it is I really want for my life. Like, and it's so clear to me now. How do I teach this? How do I give this gift back? How do I save one woman one extra day, if that's it, from this whole thing? And I've been taking my one-on-one clients through this for, gosh, over the last 2 years, but I wanted to reach more people. Okay, so it came to me in that moment, it kind of came backwards, the whole like how I did it. But I take women through a process of remembering, releasing, and then reclaiming. So it's getting to the core roots of like, why am I doing this? What's this about for me? Where did I learn this? How did I, like, what are all my beliefs around what I get to have, what a relationship is, what's possible for me? So it's remembering where this came from. Then it's going through and releasing all those limiting ideas, thoughts, beliefs that keep us stuck. Also the shame attached to being in a relationship, because whatever you've been through and whatever you've experienced does not dictate what you get to have, right? Like, past never defines your future. Okay, so releasing and then reclaiming, getting to the core and the truth of who you really are, and like letting that be the new entry point for you in going into relationships, dating from a place of wholeness, of clarity, of like self-assuredness, and dating from that space.
That's amazing. I mean, I feel like, you know, if somebody was really looking for a healthy relationship, that this process is going to help them to not only really learn about themselves, but also to be attracting the kinds of men or women or whatever, whoever you're dating, the kind of relationship that you really truly want, and in a very healthy way, right? Like it's incredible. Like,
Yes. And it's such a gift to yourself and a gift to who you choose next to be in relationship with.
mhm,
Because, like I've shared over and over again too, is like my story was like I was kind of the relationship hopper. I would just whoop, hop into the next one because I would tell myself a story that, well, we've been so on and off. I've kind of already mourned the loss of this person anyway. Now it's finally over, so I can surely just jump into this next relationship with someone else that waltzes into my world, 10
mhm,
days later, whatever it is. And it was just me justifying not wanting to do my own healing work.
mhm.
So I know that now what I've been through, it's like it's never lost on me. I can share it with others, and I know it's going to benefit my partner, and
Mhm.
why wouldn't we want to do that, So,
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I really feel like I mean, sure, you can attract a good relationship even without doing some of this work. However, it just makes it that much easier once you get into the relationship, once you have done the work on yourself, right?
that 1,000,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, And let's see, somebody just wrote, it took me realizing I actually didn't know how to love myself, then dating myself for a year, being single and being 100% okay, being my only lover to attract my current partner. Oh,
That,
yeah.
that's going to call in the partner. That right.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
Teach others how to love us. We teach others how to treat us. So
Hmm.
we have to be our own best lover, our own best, partner. And
Yes.
I think we hear that, we hear that and we conceptualize it. We get it, but then there's a part of us. I know there was a part of me that was like, I don't want to. Like,
Hmm.
I don't want to know how to meet my needs. That's why I'm so obsessed with him doing it. But you gotta let that go because it's not ever going to work. It's
Yeah.
fleeting. Maybe someone can meet your needs for a moment, but if you're not committed to you and always committed to meeting your needs and thereby being the stand and the standard for which, for what you want to call in and how
Mhm.
someone will treat you and love you and appreciate you, well then, it's not really going to last. You're not building that foundation.
Yeah, 100%. I love this conversation so much. And, I want to switch gears into attraction. But before I start talking about that, attraction and manifesting, the reason I actually wanted to talk to you about toxic relationships is because that's one of the reasons why I even started to do the work that I'm doing, is because I've known like 3 women in my life who stayed in abusive relationships because they didn't have their own money and all of these things. They didn't have the tools and the resources to actually get themselves out of those relationships. And so this topic is very much a part of my heart and part of my mission to really help empower people to be able to make different choices in their lives, not just based off of I have to pay the bills or I have to take care of my kids, so I can't get out of this, situation that I'm in.
So good.
So yeah.
That's that really is such like a beautiful segue too, because so much, and I mean, that's why I'm just so grateful for you and the work that you do in the world, because you being, a financial, money mindset coach and then that financial freedom coach, it's like, because that was so much of my work through Elementum, right? Because I mean, that was my master project. For those of y'all that don't know, Katie and I were in a coaching program together for 6 months. And we had to do this master project where it was something that we worked on that was like really big for us. Woo! Yeah, it was really big. And mine was money mindset, and my why was exactly what you said, Katie. Like it was about like I'm never going to be stuck in a situation again where I am dependent on a man to take care of me emotionally, financially, all of that. I want a man, like, of course, I want to take care of someone. I want them to take care of me, but not dependent. I'm not going to be
Right.
in a codependent relationship ever again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yes, so incredible and so powerful. And then so that leads us to like, yeah, you know, not just attracting love, but attracting money, attracting other things. Like, you know, tell me a little bit about your manifesting workshop and what you've learned about manifesting. I love learning more and more about manifesting. I have a few tricks up my sleeve, but I always love learning from other people. So tell me a little bit about your workshop.
It has been so much fun. And I will say this. I've always loved a journal. I love journaling, but it was not a part of a real practice for me. It was almost like I should journal. I should journal about what I'm grateful for in the day. Da, da. But I was like, I don't want to. Like it's just something. It didn't really excite me and light me up. I don't have like a morning routine or a night routine. I kind of have
Yeah.
it now, but I was like, I don't know. Okay, well then I actually stumbled upon, it was another coach, her name's Ashay Sundara, and I have since adapted from her journal prompts and made them my own, but it was inspired by her. She's awesome. So I started doing these journal prompts every night, and I'm going to share them in my course, but it was all about like what my vision is, my why behind it, you know, how I would feel if I already had it, those sort of things. It's about getting into the energy, into the feeling of it, right? Because I can't visualize for shit. I cannot visualize. No. Even like I had a visual, like a vision board, and
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
I realize now it was because it wasn't making me feel anything. It was
Right.
almost like, oh, I want that. Like, when is that going to happen? Instead of like, what would it feel like if it was right here, right now? And so once I made that shift, I could get into the feeling of things. And that's how I started manifesting stuff that I had, like, I can't make it up. Like, I don't know how it's possible. I just leave that up to God, to spirit, to the universe, because I can't do it on my own.
Yeah.
And the notion of like, I let God do the heavy lifting for me, because I'm not responsible for the how. I don't have to know the how. I just have to know the what. And once I made that shift, it was like, oh, okay. So now, like, the sky really is the limit. I just have to stay clear on the feeling of knowing I get to have what I want. So,
And I mean, to me, that's one of the number one things, is to really have that clarity. Like, what do you think, like, in terms of clarity? Like, where does that place in your manifesting world?
100% think you have to have clarity. Like, I think that's so important. And I even talked about this in the dating course, because when in reclamation, we get clear on like what it is we really want. And for a lot of women, it's kind of like, it's sort of a common consensus. It's like, well, I don't know what I want. I'm not sure. I know that was me. Like, if you would have asked me a year ago, I'd be like, I don't know what I want. And I'm going to say something that if I would have said it to the old me a year ago, I would have smacked my own self in the face, because I'd be so annoyed. But the reality is, we do know what we want. We just have a lot of limiting beliefs around that, how we can't have it. So I like to ask the question, if no one would judge me, and if no one would be mad at me, and if I knew I couldn't screw it up, and if I knew it could be better than I ever imagined, what would I want? And that's where I answer from. And I'll say this one other thing about clarity. And again, I'm still learning and playing with this, but I am definitely sharing what I have learned. The clarity piece for me is like, it's more about sort of like the grand vision of it, and like what it means to me, versus like it has to be specifically 10K from this client, or I have to date this man in order to marry this. You know, it's like when we do that, when we have the attachment, that's when I feel like we're too hooked in, we're too graspy.
Yes.
So it's more of like the bigger picture. And I do get specific on things, but whenever I get specific and it doesn't look exactly like the way I planned, I always go back to like, it's this or something better. It's this or something better. I have been journaling in my journal. I want to reach more women. I thought that meant growing my Instagram. And then I get a call for NBC. You know,
Right.
like,
Exactly.
it's something way better, like way better. Yeah.
Yes, because that's what happens when we are able to let go of like how when it shows up all of those things, then something greater than what you can imagine actually can come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
We're so
Yeah.
like laser focused on something. That's when I feel like we miss it, you know?
Yes.
But
Yes, because you can limit yourself, right? If you're just so focused on this one thing, you may be limiting yourself in what you can actually get.
opportunity just passes you by because you think it can only come through this way. But when
Yes.
we open up again to like, it doesn't matter how, I'm just clear on the what, we open up all these new channels for things to come through in ways that we couldn't imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. When you were talking about vision boards, what I was reminded of is I always tell people like with money, like vision boards are not going to cut it because money is very of this earth and you have to take some practical steps. Do you believe that in the manifesting work that you're doing that you also have to take some steps, or can you just sort of sit back and wait for it to come? Okay.
I wish it was like lay on the couch and eat bonbons and wait for the man to show up at my door. And then I was like, well, if he's not, unless he's an Amazon delivery guy, yes, that's not going to happen. Not quite like that, right? So yeah, what I believe that it is if I could get it down to the like, I have a whole like 7-step process, but if we even gave the Cliff Note version of that and we got it down to 3, my thing would be get clear on what you want, feel the feelings of it's happening, and then take inspired action from there. Once we get clear on what it is and we feel it and we're not attached to the how or the when or the why, it's like once we just know it's happening, then it's like, maybe I should reach out to so-and-so about, working with them, or maybe I should ask if somebody wants to do a live with me. Maybe I should do, and it's like these little things, and you follow the nudges. And it doesn't matter if some of them end up to a dead end. It doesn't matter because you're following the guide. And from what I've noticed, every time I've followed an inspired action, I'd say 8 out of 10 times I've gotten something better than I ever expected.
I love that, following the nudges, right? Because that is so true. Because sometimes we can hear the nudge and then we may get into our own heads about it and say, ooh, I don't know, maybe I'm not ready for that. Like you could have said, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to be on NBC. I don't know if I'm ready to be on TV, right? I mean, yeah, like that whole thing can just derail you from actually having the opportunity that you can get.
Totally. We have to get out of our own way.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing of like not making anything, not making it mean anything about you. Like if you don't hit your goal that you think you're supposed to hit, it doesn't mean anything about you. Or if the one person says like, no, I don't actually want to interview on my Instagram or whatever it is, like, cool, then it's this or something better. It means nothing about me. I'm just following the nudges. And what a beautiful way for us to start to learn to trust ourselves and to trust our intuition too, right? When we just say like, yes, we say yes to our ideas, we say yes to the nudges, and we just follow it and just see where it leads. This is about play. Like this is fun, right? It's not structured. It's not logical. It's fun. So yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's really inspiring because it's like if we think about it like play, it's almost like a little challenge. Let's see what we can manifest this week, this month, whatever, right?
Totally. I'll share this little story too. So when I was really starting to like play with this, I remember like I had gotten this nudge to reach out to a friend to see if she would want to like work with me for a few sessions and then to share about it. She had a really big following, and I didn't really get the full concept of why I had that nudge, but I was like, I'm supposed to work with her. I'm supposed to help her. I don't know why. Okay. So I reached out, she did, and then she shared about our time together, and I got this influx of, followers. I was like, this is fun. And when this is gonna sound so cheesy, but as each new person came in and followed me, I literally thanked them. Like I was like, thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in my space. Thank you for saying yes to my work. Because it's not about me. It's about my work in the world. So I was in that, and just to play with manifesting, I was I think I was around I don't know, 1,500 or 1,800 followers or something. I was like, it's going to be 2,000 by tomorrow. Watch, it is. And I was like, it is. I'm holding it. I'm like, yes, it is. And I get myself in the feeling, right? I'm like, it's done, it's done, it's done. I like to repeat things. Repeating affirmations for me, that works over a vision board. It's that's what gets me in the feeling, is saying it, repeating it. That's my trick. That's my thing. So I woke up the next morning and I had 1,900 or something. And I looked at it and I could have gone, well, I'm a crappy manifester. I didn't do it, right? But I was like, that's cute. I'm getting 2,000. I was so done. I was so decided. Don't know how, because she hadn't posted anything else. Nothing's happened. 24 hours later, someone else posted something and I got 200, 300 more followers, something. I'm like, well, this is something better. And it happened like that, But it's where we don't make it mean anything about us, and we're open to other possibilities.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's play. Yeah. I'm going to take that, and take that and run with it. Yeah. It's play. I love it. I love it so much. Well, thank you so, so much for saying yes to me, and for doing this live with me, because I feel like I've learned so much from you, and I'm just grateful just to have you in my world too, and to know you.
Me too. Yes.
Yeah.
And coming with me next week. So later.
Yes. Absolutely. I'm so excited. Okay, so go and follow Megan, and sign up for these workshops, right? Either the toxic dating course or the manifesting workshop, because I know you're going to get so much out of it, So thank you. Have a beautiful weekend.
All right, my love. See you later.
Bye.